Yeah.
Do you know like the significance of each holiday?
Not all of them, because there's like Victoria Day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't think it's the
Celebration of colonialism.
Yeah.
That's basically
Almost all of them are celebrations of colonialism, like St. Patrick's Day, Canada Day,
Yeah.
Victoria Day.
I wonder, are they related to like religion, like, or religious stories, or there's
Christmases. Even though they
Christmases.
call it like winter break now, because now
Right.
they've realized that they can't center it around.
just yeah, because it has like
Christian holiday.
Hanukkah right before Christmas. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Halloween.
I mean, for most people, it's just like about capitalism. It's not actually about any like sacred time.
Yeah.
But there are people that are Christian and that are
Celebrate
probably
Easter.
Yeah, Easter's a very like Christian sacred holiday. And it
Easter.
was when we were being raised by our grandma. Like, I mean,
It was
it's
more about Easter eggs.
it was more about Easter eggs. Like,
We would paint them because we had a great aunt who is Ukrainian, so we would like paint the eggs,
Yeah.
which is a Ukrainian tradition.
and we're like
That was the
really
nicest thing.
bright dresses.
Yeah.
Bright dress.
Well, I feel like our grandma used to sew us these really like puffy, bright
Yeah,
dresses.
really.
Oh my god.
Or like
Oh
we
my
had
gosh,
these
dresses.
crochet dresses that were like handmade as well. Like yeah, we had some cool.
Yeah, from Auntie Hazel.
Our grandma's Dene, but like in her aunt who kind of was part of raising her, they're really religious. They're quite Catholic because she
Yeah.
went to the residential school. So those were the only stories we ever heard was like there's all these like Bible stories you can animated that you can watch videos of them and yeah, those are the only stories I really heard from.
It's just like Nepal, like how you see on the TV they have all the religious Hindu
Oh
like
yeah, totally.
TV shows.
Oh right.
You know, like that's just like
Yeah.
everyone's watching them.
I hated those.
But every housewife in Nepal and India is watching
Would
that
watch
show.
them, yeah,
Yeah.
at 7 a.m. I was like, what?
Every day.
That's crazy.
Spiritual soap opera.
One day Suna came. They used to go to this Bible study, catechism. For children, a study of Jesus. Good stuff. Until one day, I was I don't know what I'm doing, and Suna, I think, is 4 or 5 years old. She got me and she's crying, and I said, "Why are you crying, Suna?" "You are going to hell." She's like that. And I said, "Why?" I said, "Why?" "Because you don't go to church.
Oh
You don't
gosh.
believe in God." And that's when I had to was box, on a box I had my Saraswati, Lakshmi, I had my altar, and I had to take Suna. Look at Suna. This is my church. I believe in God. And I'm not going to go to hell. And grandma believes different. You go to church. I don't go to church. That doesn't mean I don't believe in God. And that made her feel good. And I showed, this is an incense. I'm lighting. Look at the candle. I'm lighting. And I'm praying here. And so it's a message that what you give to kids. Because they're innocent, they're learning. Every belief you follow, Christian, Hindu, Buddha, Muslim, all have their belief. One thing everybody believe is God. So different way. As long as you believe in something, that's what it counts. And we don't know. Nobody knows who goes where until the person whose soul moves and they go through.
Reflecting back, like, it must be very confusing for you guys to... Did you ever feel like you were pulled apart between, like Christianity and your mom is, like, Hindu and Buddhist?
I didn't. I actually thought it was really cool because I never felt torn between them. I just thought they were all... Like, I literally thought Jesus and Buddha were friends. Like,
that's a cool way of thinking about it.
Well, I'm like, they're on the same level over there. I didn't think that there was like a separation, and like we used to go to temple here, which was a Hindu temple.
Yeah, Hindu temple.
Yeah, and then we've gone to like a lot of different places from when we were young. So it always, and because Emma was like literally like this when we were young, she always encouraged us to go to church with grandma. Other things, it's probably more on the Christianity Catholic side that it was like them trying to say that there's only one way. But we kind of grew out of that religion as well by the time we were teenagers.
I mean, I think from that moment when I realized that they were lying, or that wasn't, well, I guess I realized that if I were to believe in Catholicism, I could feel like the heartbreak of realizing my mom wasn't included in that. And then also like her saying something which made so much more sense than that. So I wasn't fooled by Catholicism from like a very young age, but I would still like watch the movie about like Jesus. I don't know, my dad brought a movie home once about, maybe it's The Passion. I don't know, as a kid, so it was an older one, but I'd still cry about Jesus and what he went through. Like I felt I was always a spiritual kid, but I never really, no religion ever made that much sense. It was more like I felt really torn between my mom and my grandma, because I knew my grandma wanted me to choose her and what she believed in, but I didn't, but I also felt loyal, I loved her. So I would like put one sock on the way my mom showed me and one sock on the way my grandma did, because I was like, I just like felt really guilty about siding with either. I literally. So it was kind of more about the person. It was, for me, I don't know, religion seemed more about loving the person who was telling me these things rather than, I don't know. I guess I don't remember feeling torn up religion-wise or what I believed in.
Yeah. It's like oftentimes when we were growing up, they would say, you have to follow this because this particular God says this, and then we blindly follow it.
Right.
Like we don't even go or ask why. After like, I guess I was 15, 16, then I started questioning, okay, why do we do this though? Right? Like, is there a reason we need to particularly follow this, like the very route that they have advised us? Because like I found it very different when I go to a monastery and a lama does certain things, and a lama would come to our home and does certain things. But it's both were the ceremonies for positive energy and bringing positive energy to the home. So yeah, it's I don't know. Do you still feel like you guys are religious or like spiritual?
Spiritual for sure, but not religious. Even like Buddhism as well. When I have been at ceremonies like in Nepal, at least the ones I've attended, which I think were more Hindu, but like if my body is not involved and if I don't have a role within the ceremony, then it doesn't mean anything to me. It just looks really beautiful, and then usually it's very tedious too, I found. Where I guess like native spirituality, which is like being in Sweat Lodge and like going through Vision Quest, it's all these things where your physical body goes through an experience and a process that, and then you feel it in you can feel the difference in your brain and your body and your spirit. That's the only thing that is actually palpably like sensational to me, and which really makes a difference in who I am as well.
Rather than just sitting down and watching other people do it.
Totally. Someone who's like just rehearsed this thing, and you can tell they're kind of just zoning out while they're like rehearsing these things. And
no, that's what happens in ceremonies. Look at Satyanarayan Puja. Look at the ceremonies you do at monasteries. There's literally a big like purohit, or what do you call them? Lama.
Priest.
The priest, yes, who does everything, and all we are supposed to do is sit
there
and listen and do namaste.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing that, I mean, I've heard someone describe it this way and I really relate to it, is like religions often like is built around this idea that we go to a place where someone else has a relationship to God and we listen to them. Whereas what Suna was describing about the native traditions that we've been introduced to is that it's about your own relationship with Creator. It's not about putting anyone between you and that access to God. And so, I mean, that's like, I also relate to that as well, as like religion just doesn't make sense because it seems like you're always going to need someone else to help you.
Right. They're like HR department.
And like, you know, like the idea that someone else could have a better idea of
Yeah.
what is right for you. Like, I mean, in Catholicism, you have to go and like do confession and all these things that are
So awkward.
don't make sense.
Yeah.
Have you ever confessed?
I maybe one time, and it was just so awkward. You know, like there's this guy who you can't see who doesn't care at all about what you're saying, and then like just tells you to say Hail Mary 10 times after, and you have to like tell them this embarrassing thing that you've done. That's my experience of it.
Oh my
As a
gosh.
kid, you're like racking your brain over all the sins that I've done.
Anyway.
No, we still like even in Nepal, you go to a particular river or something, or like tap waters where you would take a bath and say all your sins will be forgiven.
Ganga,
Huh.
Yeah, there's actually called a place called Baistara.
By Stara, yeah.
I've been there.
Every full moon, right?
Usually once a year we do
Yeah.
that.
Once a year around Chait, that means
Chaita
April.
Chaita Puja,
April, there's a full moon ceremony, and then you know Swayambhunath and Bauddhanath, and right in between there is Baistara. So you start your journey from Bauddhanath, go to Baistara, take a shower, the Dara will take care of all of your sins, and then you go to Swayambhunath and light a candle.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, that actually sounds nice,
Yeah.
and it involves the elements.
Yeah, you actually have to walk. Like
Yeah,
in the old
yeah.
days, you had to
Whoa.
walk and make sure the
Yeah.
lights are always in your hands, right?
Yeah, I wasn't told that way.
We were always like, you have to walk and make sure.
I mean,
You take the bath.
taking sin away, we were not told. We were, you go to Bodha, you stay fasting, you know, all night, stay awake.
Oh yeah.
And of course, we get to sing a song. And then next morning, dawn, Bodha, to Balaju first. And then, like all night, you're cleansing. But didn't say like washing away sin. And you cleanse with this 22 dharas, tap, running that stone. And then you walk from there to Swayambhu, and you light a candle. Then you know, it's a candle is lighted for people who passed away. And that your prayer go to them. And once a year you honoring them. You go to Kasi, wash yourself, then washes your sin. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So everybody's
Interpretation is different.
Well,
yeah.
cleansing, getting rid of
Cleansing,
sin, it's kind of
sin,
similar.
Yeah. Yeah, just staying all night in a temple, walking there, and then last you're just okay, now I'm done till next year. It's just different, you know, growing up I thought here, 20 years in Nepal, and now 30 plus in Canada. Life is different. I really feel safe Canada. I think I can live here. I can visit always Nepal. But living, I feel this will be home for me.
Wow, that's a big
It
revelation.
is. I always thought you'd move back to Nepal.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
talk about your project.
My project. Okay, what would you like to know?
What is your project and who is KYT Foundation, what it does?
Okay. It's emotional. Already making me cry. When I was 11, I saw this lady coming from like 5 hours away from my village. She's 20 years old only. She had a labor for 3 days. And she was carried. And you know dolly? Dolly is with a bamboo. 4 people carrying her because she can't walk. And she went to health post. They sent her back.
Whoa.
And it was sunset time. Still have to go and she didn't have baby yet. With 3 days later, she came. They were carrying her. She couldn't have baby, and Bumlo.
It's a little village.
Yeah, village. After Cholbas,
Okay.
she had a baby, and baby Blue. Now she still wait to go to hospital, and after she have a baby, they couldn't go to help her. They had to go back home. She still have that baby's dead baby, and she couldn't. Her baby's friend didn't come out yet, and oh my goodness, those. Her mother-in-law crying, father-in-law crying, and the husband and so young, don't know what happened. And in my mind that I wish if we had a hospital, she could have lived. She didn't have to go to home, back, and lose her baby. And now I don't even know what happened to her. So since then, hospital was my always. If I am big and get good job
And rich enough.
I will have a hospital. But and then why KYT Tareli? It's a Kamala Yonzan Tareli Foundation. Tar is a village. And we were called, Hile. They don't say you're Hileli. Dudgaon Le, it's a village, Dudgaon. But we were called Tareli because we came from Tar. But Hile is a different village.
So Tar and Hile, both are villages.
Villages. So from Tar, my grandpa had to move. Brahman took over land, and they were told, my grandpa and grandma told them to move.
Another
get
manifestation
out,
of colonialism.
Yeah, and they borrowed money 100. They put 2,000, 200, to 100, 1,000, 200, like 1,000 like that. They lost their land. The same time, my grandpa and grandma with the kids, they were kicked out from the village to go to Hile.
Just to give you context on that, when Nepal was a monarch, so these upper class men, these Brahmins and Kshatris who were the officials of king, they used to abuse people in the village by sabotaging the contract they had. So, for example, if you are that Brahmin and I am just a normal villager and I would borrow 100 rupees from you, instead of 100 rupees, they would do 1,000, add an extra zero.
I see, that's what you're
But
saying.
I was oblivious because obviously I am illiterate and I don't know thing. I would just trust that he's king's person and they would do right for us.
So they're basically like the government. They do what the government does here.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then we would blindly trust you, and then you would say and come back and say, hey, you owe me this much money with interest.
Oh my gosh.
And I wouldn't have money to pay you back when the interest and principal is like 1,000 times more than the original payment.
Yeah.
They used to take all your lands and then ask you to leave, and I guess that's one of the stories, like one of the 1,000 stories that everybody suffered.
So my always negative way put away our name. So I want to do positive. And this is why foundation is very important for me, and I want to do, especially help single parents, not mom, just mom. My father was single parent, and orphanage, children without tuhura children, which they lost mother or father, they go through very difficult time. And elderly, of course, their children, they neglect. And I want to be feeling them, loved.
Do you mind sharing what works has been done in the past by KYT Foundation?
Yes. KYT Foundation, first step, we said was to bring water to village. We were able to do that. We in 2015 we went to we had a big earthquake. We raised some money. We went there. We provided food for 64 homes in ward number 7, and we provided all the people plus 4 different home. That was success. Everybody's happy and did in a safe way. Villager helped, and then because the earthquake, the land went cracked where water was, the fountain disappeared, and we had to make a dig and make a whole tank. So we secure that.
So the earthquake took away all the work that you had done previously?
No, not. The water was there. People had to go and get it.
Right.
The foundation was disappeared. It just collapsed.
Like a natural water?
Natural water.
Oh, okay.
And there was sipping, underneath. So we had to dig, made that water to come to the village. Water is in a village. Now just second step we have to do is land is there. Now I'm thinking, provide education different way, healing different way, a recovery place for people to maybe childbirth.
Yeah, there was a lot of corruption going on at that time with like money being raised for Nepal because people just love Nepal, and so a lot of people sending money through these foundations, I don't know, big organizations, and then it would reach those higher ups and it never reached the people. So like what Alma did was really cool because she took it directly to the people, and I think it was one of the few ways where 100% of the money that we raised went and like helped people.
Bags of food and stuff.
Yeah, bag, the total bag we got enough for a month or so.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure half of the funds that was raised never reached to the people that was supposed to go.
Yeah.
Like even the government was so corrupt that when other countries tried to help through other means than funds, they withheld everything.
Really?
Like food and supplies, they withheld everything at the airport.
Oh my
There was even a report saying that because they withheld those stuff, they all went rotten.
But yeah,
Because they're perishable
right.
products.
Oh my
They're just like,
gosh.
yeah, it was just
That's
terrible.
so
And they never advertised it. They never like broadcast this.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just sad because it's our country and we want to help people, but the government and the system itself is so fragile and so corrupted that you don't know who to trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about, like, as we were growing up, I had a very different view of Nepal. Like, I thought of it as, like, kind of like a utopia place where
Yeah.
people are not over saturated in material things, and like the values are better and everything. But and it's true, there like, well, as we were growing up, there was a feeling of just like, yeah, like more of a family
Innocence.
Innocence,
Yeah.
like family, spending time with family. Like people still yell at each other, but there was this feeling of closeness
Right.
just by circumstance. Like you just had to be close because places were pretty small, and but it was like a very good feeling associated with it.
Yeah.
But as I've gotten older, of course, we see more, and you see the corruption of the government. That's one element, but also how there just aren't enough opportunities for people, and like how our cousins have had really like big struggles with finding work and just being able to take care of themselves. And there's just so many ways that that, you know, Suna was kind of talking about at the beginning, like just like, you know, if you really do work hard here, you actually can, you know, be quote unquote successful. Like you just have to put in the work. Whereas I feel like in Nepal and probably a lot of other places, you can work as hard as you want, but if you don't get that opportunity, you're still going to be like really struggling.
True. So I kind of resonate with what you're saying, that over time, especially after the king was killed and then there was a whole sort of revolution going on, there was a lot of civil war going on for years and years, people kind of like changed, and changed for the worse than better. And even the trust and faith from outside Nepal, with like people who love Nepal and do want to do something for Nepal but cannot do it because the bond and the trust is not there anymore. And it just got weaker and weaker, and now it's to a point where it's not sustainable at all. And I don't know what would be the solution or what would be the long-term goal as a country or as a society. Because obviously I would want to go back and do something, but if I don't have any people to trust, it's going to be hard, right? If everybody, even your friend, you cannot trust anymore, and just like do some project, it's super hard.
Yeah, doing project, I wouldn't trust anybody with the money. I have to be there.
Especially donations from countries like Canada and the States. They send it there, and the NGOs or whoever the individuals receive the money, I don't know, for some reason they turn wild when they see dollars.
Well, when you're desperate, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like you can't blame people for scrambling to take care of themselves, even if it's in a greedy way. I mean, you would hope that people would make better choices, but it also is part of a system that is totally
Corrupted, yeah.
And so it makes people desperate.
I feel like in a lot of ways Canada is better, and although it needs improvement, but I still feel like they're responsive and they still function in a way that serves the greater public than just serving itself.